And we want to give a big shout out to Will Smith, who was talking. I think it's about a new series or a new movie that's coming out, but I know it's also his book. He also has a book coming out as well. And he talked about a time in his life where he thought about committing suicide. He was like in the worst shape of his life and things of that nature. And he talked about wanting to commit suicide. So like, T, what did that tell you about, or what did that signify to you that Will Smith, with his stature, with his fame and his fortune, is being that type of vulnerable? Because I've seen people act like they're going to tell you their life story and only give you crumbs. But like for someone like him, who also has this public persona of always being happy and go lucky and joyous, what does it mean for you that he, even considered suicide?
Yeah, bro. That's such a good question. I think it builds off of the conversation we had about Will Smith initially. I think that it's so nice to see him breaking down those walls. I think that that's so important. And I wish so many celebrities did that because it humanizes them. Because we have these thoughts, right? Like everyday people have these thoughts, and you see people that are successful and you like, damn, like they just got it easy. They live their life every single day, just rich and happy and successful. And we realize that that isn't the pinnacle. And I think that when they break down those walls and take away those veils and show us who they really are, then we can connect to them and see them as human, and also humanize ourselves, right? And like, I think about the J. Cole song, Love Yours. Like, no such thing as a life that's better than yours. No such thing as a life that's better than yours. It's okay. So I think that that's important. That was one thing I really started to think about, and I really appreciate him for that. And I just had a talk with my students on Friday, and we talked about what success is and what it looks like. And one student was like, "Oh, it's generational wealth. I'm talking Jeff Bezos money." And then somebody was like, "Well, only one person had Jeff Bezos money. So if that's success, then none of us are successful." But I think that through that conversation, we talked about like being stable, being happy, waking up every day and really enjoying life and doing what you like to do and what fulfills you. And those are different ways that we should start to think about success rather than, oh, Will Smith has been in all these #1 movies. He's successful. He's happy. His life is perfect. It's like, no, like each and every one of us have different levels of success and different visions of success. And we all can reach that if we know what our vision looks like. And I think that, again, just Will Smith having this conversation helps break down those like imagination things that we have in our head that like we can't ever reach because the bar is too high. He's letting us know that like, nah, bro, it's not what it's all cracked out to be all the time.
Right. And sometimes that bar is too high because of the jungle gym you're playing in, right? Sometimes we're in the wrong jungle gym.
I like that.
Yeah, like it's because it's like so for example, like money's great, but like if your only thing is money and your level of success isn't and the contentment of your life, or you treating your loved ones right and things of that nature, and it goes back to J. Cole's song. It's like love is something you can never, that you can't have enough of. Right, like money and success, like you can always be reaching for more. But like you can actually be content.
You can be full of love.
Right. So I think that it sort of comes down to that, and I want to give Will Smith the BBB award, the Building a Better Brother award. And that's basically when someone does something that allows men to be more vulnerable, or is just a good look for men in general. And because I think that Will Smith is sort of a symbol of a certain type of successful masculinity and whatnot. And I think that with him being vulnerable and saying like, nah, like success as a man can look different. Happiness for a man who you feel like has accomplished everything can look different. And if you don't, and if you don't figure out what that is for you, you can be in a dark place. Right. And the dark places are regular, even for the most quote unquote successful people. Right. Like it's, I remember, and I think I've said this on the podcast before, but when you are on the hospital bed and the monitor is going up and down, that means you're living. When it's one thing, it's a straight line, you gone. So to be living is to be going through ups and downs. Right. So
poetic.
I just think that Will Smith is doing that. And, Will Smith was talking about, transitioning his life in one way, but what happens when you are actually about to throw your life away because of a situation? So I know that this past Halloween was a little saucy, a little spicy, and I remember, you know, being in a situation where an altercation almost occurred between me and another gentleman, and at that time, you know, I can't say it all on air, but you know, I was saying some things, putting my hands on some things, and I think that I look back on it and I just think about it the next day. I'm just like, well, Ashton, let's sort of map out these paths. Scott P, let's map out these paths, right?
Yeah.
So what do you stand to win in this situation? If I did everything that was on my mind that particular evening, right? I don't think that I still am a student. I don't think I am still a free civilian. I don't think I get to have a family and build a legacy, right?
Yeah.
And so, but it goes back to one of our earliest episodes ever where you were talking about our name and our pride in that name, right? And at the moment when you feel like you're disrespected, you're ready to throw it all away. And so, right, and so we talk about this idea of like class. I'm like, someone from me, like me, you know what I'm saying? I'm a civilian. I don't claim to be from the streets. I don't claim to
a civilian.
Yeah, like I'm a civilian, you know what I'm saying? So, but for me, even in that moment, I was ready to tap into a more evil side of myself and a much darker side of myself. And so it's funny because it's like I think we as men have to learn how to deal with those demons and like and know how to cope, because I think that something like I could go out in the street tonight and someone could do that same exact thing and it could trigger me again.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And so, but it's like, I think as a man, you have to think about, all right, well, bro, what are the paths here? Because if I do what I want to do, I won't be able to do what I want to do for real. Right.
Facts.
Right. Like you can do what you want to do in this
moment.
Right.
But what do you stand to lose because of that one moment?
Right.
Everything that you've built. What's that Snowfall video when Franklin was yelling at Leon? He was like, I built this brick by brick, and I'm not gonna let you tear it down just because you don't like the way another man talked to you.
Right.
And I think that resonates with me right there. And I mean, but I've had the same thing very recently too. So about a week and a half ago, I was jogging with my dog and my friend Julius, and my phone fell out my pocket. And I got to the house and I was looking for my phone, and I was like, dang, where's that? So he looked on his phone because he has my location. Because I was like, maybe it fell out of my pocket, and it sure enough did. He was like, oh, it's right around the corner where it fell out. It's like, cool. Went up there to go check it out. I couldn't find it nowhere. I was like, well, I know where we started running. So it either fell out between here and here, and it wasn't nowhere. He comes sprinting around the corner. He's like, bro, somebody got your phone. And like, we got to go. He was like, it's not moving fast, so they're not in the car, they're walking. So we got to go like chase them down and find your phone. It's like, okay, cool. So we ran a whole mile chasing the moving dot on the Apple Maps, because he has my location. And you know, Apple, sometimes it take a second to load, so it would stop and we like check the different stores, and it's like, y'all see anybody in here with a phone trying to sell a phone? Because it was like a pawn shop too. And I was like, maybe he in there trying to sell it. Dude was like, no. I was like, okay, cool. And then we looked, and like a minute later it started moving again. So again, we chasing him down, and then we finally catch up to the dot. Julius was a little bit more in shape than me. He got there first, and he was like, I'm on top of the dot. So I get there, and he's like, look, this guy's looking real suspicious. He acting real suspicious. I think he might have it. So I was like, cool. Walked up to him, and this is how I knew he had it, because we were standing at the intersection of Venice and Sepulveda. If you've ever been at the intersection of Venice and Sepulveda, it is nothing there but a 7-Eleven and a gas station in the freeway. And he was taking a picture of the gas station in the freeway. And I said, oh no, there's something off here. So Julius is calling the phone, and he's like reaching in his pocket and stuff. So I'm like, cool. I walked up to him. I was like, hey bro, look, I'm gonna need you to empty your pockets, or I'm gonna do it for you. And then he looked at me and he pulls out my phone immediately. And I said, cool, thank you. Or I didn't say thank you. I said, appreciate it. Something like that. Put it in my pocket, and he was like, oh yeah, you should be saying thank you to me. And that's when I almost lost it. That's really when I almost lost it, because like, bro, you really just tried to steal my phone. You talking about I should thank you. And I told him like, look, I could really whoop you on the corner of this street. because like he was like 5'8", like just much smaller than me. But I was like, I know, again, coming back to this double consciousness, what I look like doing that on this main street. 2 main streets. I can really beat you down on this main street, but what do I have to lose? And that's all I kept thinking about. But it's like, I was really like, if this is my breaking point, I am touching it, dog. Like the resistance
ran a mile.
Man, a mile, bro. Like a whole mile. And you had the nerve to say it, because I didn't say appreciate it, I just took it. And then that's when he was like, oh, you should be saying thank you. I said, I should drop my fist across your head, like, but I'm not gonna do that. And it's funny because there's a kid, he probably about 18. He on his bike, and he was like, oh, bro, he still your phone? Hey, that squabbles. Like, we gotta run it. And I'm letting him know, it's like, that isn't that I have too much to lose. Like, I say, bro, this is the first time I've ever had like a salary job. I got 2 degrees. I got a car. Like, life's good. Like, my girl good, my mom good, my family good. I'm not trying to lose that, but like, something in me did want to really like smack him. Like, So I think that when we're having this conversation, we're thinking about like really deconstructing what masculinity looks like, because the issue was solved. I got my phone back, and I would have gained nothing from that but the pleasure of like violence in that moment. And then at that point, that I'm just everything that everybody has told me that I ever would be.
Oh, yikes.
So I think, again, when we're coming back to double consciousness, and I know this is just a black male conversation, right? Because I think when we even think about it with women, there's even more layers on top of it. But with this one, it's like there is a link between violence and blackness and masculinity that is often tied to each other, and that is almost expected of us. And we almost are so willing to perform it, because it's like, well, if not, then what do I look like? And that's a question in the back of my head, but it's like, I look like a civilized like adult. Like, I look like somebody that has learned and has grown, and that doesn't have to be there. And I'm not saying that the people that don't make that decision aren't civilized. No, but I think that it comes back to that past conversation, is that like, when you are at that point, you probably don't have anything to lose. So you are willing to go down that path, because it's like, you did disrespect me, and you put a lot of disrespect on my name. So it's like, how do I clear my name? I got to whoop you out. We got to squabble. But it's like, we know that we aren't there anymore. And I want to work with my students, because when that 18-year-old said that, I immediately thought of my students. And it's just like, I know that that's where they would be too. And that's probably where I was.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think, and I appreciate you for being so vulnerable. So let me go just a tad bit deeper, because I think there's an interesting logic to here too, right? So from my situation, I was at a club, and like I can't remember if I actually tried to dance with the women or if I was just around them, but I think some guy, and he said it respectfully, but he touched me. He was like, oh, hey man, chill out or something. And I just laughed, I was like, hey man, don't put your hands on me. And then that caused the back and forth. And then, shout out to my man's Bernard, separated me. But I start, at this point, I'm fuming, like to the point where like I'm asked to leave the place because things are starting to break, and I'm the cause. And I go back to my place of residence, and things are starting to break, and I'm the cause. And to the point where, there was someone who had to pull me to the side and be like, hey, look, they're probably going to call the cops because of how enraged they see you. And then it becomes, I am that person, right, that they always thought that someone like me would be. And I think, and here's the thing in that moment, right? Like, I had thoughts, T. I said, I could go back to the club right now. It was early in the night. I said, I could wait for him to come out. I could wait for him. I got some supplies here, and me and my supplies can meet him like tonight. It was that type of thing. I was like, who are his relatives? It was bad. It was bad. It was, I'm an overthinker. So I just start thinking about all the webs of connections to people and all their stuff. Cause I wanted him to suffer so bad for doing that. For don't touch
putting
me,
you
right?
In
right. So, but for all my guys out there who have been in similar situations, who've been like, yo, you can't disrespect me. And like, if you do, I gotta do something with you. Well, let's think about this from a statistical standpoint. I'm not a quantitative guy. I'm a qualitative guy. But let's do the math here. I go back to the club. I go back to the club. I wait for him. Right. Let's say he has a family member pick him up. let's say I roll to him and the family member and I react.
Mhm.
Right now, how does that work out for me? I'm probably going to court. I'm probably going to jail, and I'm going to be filled in a facility that I cannot get out of
Mhm.
with 300 other guys that might also do the same thing.
Mhm.
So, like, numbers wise, I think that you have to realize that you can't beat the field.
Mm.
You can't
That's
beat
real.
the field. People are going to try you. As
Mhm.
long as you are alive, someone is going to try you in some way,
That's
some
big
form,
facts.
some capacity.
That's big facts.
So if you don't figure out how to manage your reactions and say, hey, I can only react this way when it's an emergency, when I have to defend myself, whatever,
Mhm.
then it becomes a thing of, well, I know I can piss you off. And then even if people aren't trying to, naturally it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you're locked down in a jail, you're locked down in a prison, and now you have 400, 500 people who are constantly trying you.
Yeah,
well,
they ain't got nothing but time to try you.
Right. And they're all upset too.
Yeah.
They all did something in there too. So now it's like, okay, well, would you rather figure out a way to deal with that one person occasionally
Mhm.
or wake up to that stuff every day?
A lifetime of it. Yeah.
Right. And so I need my brothers to sit down and crunch the numbers with us,
Yeah.
right? When you get that feeling, because I woke up the next day. I still wanted to react the next day. I sore hand and everything. I still wanted to react the next day. But you know what? Another day goes by and I'm like,
Mhm.
I have more things to do.
Was it that serious?
Right.
Yeah.
I have more things to do.
Yeah,
I'm about,
it's consuming your time and your energy and your thoughts, and then it's like, and that's how it was. It's like I kept making myself more upset.
Yes,
like thinking
yes.
about it, and then I find myself falling into hypotheticals, and it's just like, but the situation's over, and that's what I had to tell myself. It's like I could continue to think about the situation and how I reacted and what people might have thought of, because like I thought about that kid and I was like, but he doesn't even know me.
Right.
So it's like, of course, as an instigator, he would love to see something happen on the street to tell his friends, but it's like, what does that mean for me? Right.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to get out of thinking about what we look like to other people.
Right.
But again, it's the double consciousness, because it not only affects like how white people or other people of other races see us, but how we as other Black men see each other. Right. But I think that coming back to Will Smith is like, that's why vulnerability is so important. And that's why this conversation is so important, because then people can see that like, it is okay to not react, and it does not make you weak. Right. It does not make you any less than. It does not make you less than a man, right? And it's deconstructing masculinity and how we perform it, and seeing that you can perform it in a much more positive way, and it not have any repercussions on what you look like and how you navigate this life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I'm thinking right now, I was asked to leave that establishment. I got a sore hand right now, and that man probably spent the rest of Halloween night having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
And people might have looked at him and been like, "Oh, well, he wanted to do something with you. Like, why didn't you chase him down?" And da 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 da. He's like, "Well, I'm up here dancing with my friends, having a good time. He's the one who got to leave now." You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that being on the other side of that, I can say, hey, look, thank God it wasn't a bigger situation. You know what I'm saying? Thank God that like, nothing else happened, and now he's happy, and I'm locked behind some white man system. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I think that you got to run the numbers, and to your point, it's like and actually, you know what? I think about this too. I think about Gucci Mane. I was thinking about this the other day. Gucci Mane forgave Young Jeezy,
who got his one of his good friends hit, right?
Right. And but for that to happen, that meant that someone had to say, go get Gucci. Right. So and this man can look at Jeezy and find ways to have peace. NBA players, NFL players, all these people, they get challenged and pushed. And this is in front of not only 40-some thousand people, but in front of millions of people.
Millions.
And of course they have millions of dollars to lose. But like in that moment, it's sort of like, I just got pumped by everybody in front of everybody. Imagine LeBron James when Draymond kicked him, and LeBron might want to.
Big facts.
He can't do it.
Big facts.
Because that moment is too big. And guess what happened? Dre got kicked out. LeBron goes to win maybe the most important title he'll ever win. So like, I think there are also not only are those examples important, but like there are success stories in learning how to chill. It's just there are success stories in learning how to like maintain your positive energy and not react the way you want to, the way you think you deserve to. You know what I mean? So, man, it's hard. It is not easy. It's not easy because I still I'm just like, yikes, you know. But I think everything will be okay if you give it that time.
Absolutely. So, fellas, I need y'all to avoid those nigga moments and keep it cool, keep it brief.
Yes, absolutely.
Make it through. Make it see. Live and fight to see another day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of that, you know, we talk about the opportunity to make that decision, right? And I think you have to appreciate those moments and not take those moments for granted, because some people, you know, someone was violent against them and they couldn't retaliate. They didn't even have the chance to be mad or be in shock, right? And that's something that we want to talk about as we talk about our spotlight, because and for those of you who don't know, our spotlight is when we shine a light on someone or someone who's doing something great in the community. We started off with the light roast, but we try to end on a positive note. But the unfortunate thing about this situation is that these people can never come back. You know, years ago, 9 people were killed in a Charleston, South Carolina church by a white supremacist extremist, Dylan Roof. And the spotlight is that their families have gotten around $88 million in damages. And so we have to say that it's a start. It's something, but it's like their lives were invaluable, right? And it's just like in a world where that option for you to be able to react or not react could be taken away from you, where sometimes you just receive violence, you don't get to receive violence and then make a decision on how you want to react. Like, you have to be able to appreciate life in and of itself. Like, you and I get to go home, we get to try our best to build a legacy, build family, live out our dreams, and like someone somewhere didn't get to do that because of Dylan Roof, right? And maybe that money will help their families, but that person won't be able to live out their dreams, right? And so I think it's just so important that, like, because we're here, because we have the opportunity, how dare we throw that away?
Absolutely.
Off of one moment when it took a few moments for that white supremacist to kill those 9 Black people in Charleston.
And if those families can find some type of forgiveness or some type of peace, then we can too. And that goes across the board. And I think that it's important that they did find justice, because I think that him going to prison for life for receiving the death penalty, that one life doesn't bring those other lives back, and it doesn't do anything for you to try to live your life out and live your life in the future, because we lost grandparents and mothers and sons and daughters and cousins and nephews, and pastors and deacons, right, and teachers and principals and business owners. So I think that money does help rebuild some of the lives that were affected, but it can't, of course, money can never bring anyone back, but I think it does help people heal and move forward. So I want to shout out the government for finding some type of reparations for the survivors of this and for the families of those who lost someone. I think that that's important. And it shows that our government at times does understand the irreversible damage that is caused by white supremacy, and that there can be some type of peace found at times.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. So yeah, for those families, we say congratulations, salute to you, but we also say you're still in our thoughts. Our good energy is still sent your way, because nothing can bring your loved ones back, but at least you know, this money is an acknowledgement of this injustice, an acknowledgement, maybe not even the full solving of what happened, but it's an acknowledgement that this was wrong. Y'all deserve to get those funds. So yeah, man, that was a very, very deep note to end it on, man. Necessary but deep.
Yeah, but good. Be good. But yeah, I feel like this was such a good episode. I felt like this hour flew by, but it was jam-packed at the same time.
It was.
I just can't wait to re-listen to it. I hope the Brewers rock with it. I hope our listeners from different places are really rocking with it. We're live. We're back together. I feel like there's an energy, a synergy here. You know, COVID has kept us away and different traveling schedules, but now we're back in the booth, back in the lab cooking. So yeah, you got any final words before we close out?
Nah, man, it's been good. I love y'all for rocking with us, and like we said, and like we continue to say, we always have new stuff coming for y'all. So just be prepared. It's been a very, very crazy week. I'm not gonna lie, I've been overwhelmed for at least a few weeks, but we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. This is I think this is a time when there's so much pressure around you, and yet you're gonna find a way to shine, because that is, like we were saying before, part of our blackness. It's in our course, who we are.
Absolutely. So, like we like to close out the show, keep the coffee black. And we like our podcast like we like our women black. Thank y'all for rocking with us, and we will see y'all next week. Peace.